This after Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer said the next round of tariffs on China has been put on hold. China also delivering a written response to the U.S. demands for reforms ahead of the expected meeting between President Xi and President Trump on the sidelines of that G20 summit in Argentina later on this month. Joining me now to discuss, Ambassador Terry Miller. Keith Fitzgerald is back with me as well. Ambassador, your thoughts on this, because this is the kind of, I would guess this is the sort of body language that we want to see heading into the G20 meeting.
Absolutely. Last thing in the world I want to do if the stock market is trending up on good news about the G20 is to throw any cold water on that. But I do think probably the best we can hope for out of a group like the G20 and a meeting with President Trump and President Xi there would be something like a standstill agreement, something like we saw with President Trump and Mr. Juncker of the EU a couple of months ago, where everybody decides to just sort of hold in place and talk some more about where to go in the future.
Well, the stakes are high and they're rising every single day. And in addition to that, sir, you know, we're seeing economic data out there that suggests there's a sense of urgency for both nations, but particularly for China. And I'm not one that buys this notion, oh, they've got a 100-year plan. I mean, President Xi's not going to live for 100 years. And the only reason they've had a 100-year plan now is because after the two opium wars and the revolution, the Boxer Revolution, they thought communism was the answer. So, you know, this whole notion that they've got all the time in the world with mounting debt, a credit crisis, flight of capital, I don't buy it.
Well, I agree with that. I think that there's a lot of pressure on President Xi right now. On the other hand, he's in a very strong position domestically to do pretty much whatever he wants. And I think right now China's trying to feel out the United States to find out what the bottom line really is for us in terms of what would it take to get those tariffs removed. I don't think they know that yet. I'm not sure we know yet exactly what the bottom line is for us.
Well, let's say if it is greater access to Chinese markets, removal of those onerous JV deals where you know, American and Western countries have to give up ownership, therefore defaulting, de facto giving up their technology. Lower tariffs or removal of tariffs. What would those three things look like?
Well, I think that goes a long way towards resolving U.S. concerns. The problem is how far can they go? How far even can somebody as strong as President Xi go? China is in some respects still a developing country, and they would claim that they have tried to do major improvements in their intellectual property regime, for example, to the extent of their capability. Well, I don't necessarily buy that. I think they can do far more if they have the political will to do so. But I think we still have to see what kind of concessions would actually satisfy the Trump administration here. Is it enough to lower the trade deficit? What kind of things can China actually do to say, okay, we fixed IP now?
Let me bring in Keith Fitzgerald. Keith, I mean, the idea that they would stop stealing wholesale is ridiculous. I'm just saying, hey, just stop stealing in broad daylight, okay? Do it under the cloak of darkness, right? Just don't make it so obvious. But we heard President Xi at this conference, this import conference, saying that they would respect foreign laws, IP laws, that they would have harsh penalties for companies that steal, that they would open up their markets. In fact, they want to have a consumer-driven economy in the first place. You spend a lot of time in that part of the world. What's your assessment of all of it?
Well, I think those are all very accurate comments, Charles. The key here is getting China to a position, to a place where it can back down without losing face. We don't have that concept here in the West. What they need to do is have concessions formed in such a way that President Xi can sell them to the Chinese people, is still representing a strong China, but yet backing off in a way that satisfies the West. China wants a place at the world table, and it wants the respect that comes with it. But what it does not understand historically is how to earn that.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both very, very much. Really appreciate your expertise.